Why is it that it's so easy? So many people, just for criticizing the Netanyahu policy, they immediately throw out anti-Semitism. Just like, you don't give someone an open Diet Coke can or something and they call you Islamophobic, right? On a plane.
Yep.
Remember that incident? So
Yeah.
this thing is thrown about so loosely. This is anti-Semitic. This is anti-Semitic. Then why is when somebody at the Israeli, a government official, says that, yeah, Palestinians are not responsibilities like dolphins, that if that is anti-Semitic, criticizing government's anti-Semitic, comparing all Palestinians to dolphins in the Mediterranean is racist, right? Is anti-Arab, okay?
Or anti-Palestinian.
Yeah, anti-Palestinian, right? Or
Yeah.
so there's a anti-Palestinian. So or you could say
not anti-Arab. I don't think anybody could accuse the Israeli, even the Israeli government right now, of being anti-Arab.
Okay, fair.
They have gotten close to the worst Arab nations, but anti-Palestinian.
That's why the word that's coming up now is apartheid, right? That's what they're talking about. Apartheid is like between Israelis and Palestinians, and that is a trigger word that actually upsets people even more than racism or even more than anti-Arab is when they talk about apartheid, because that brings up South Africa. We used to come in. So
I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that they're using the anti-Semitic accusations so loosely, because I want this to become more just like Islamophobia right now. The accusation of Islamophobia doesn't stick as I think accusing people of misogyny, racism, Islamophobia, and homophobia, some of these should still have the sting power, but it doesn't anymore because they were overused, right? So it's unfortunate that some of them doesn't have the power that it used to do, because misogynists still exist, homophobes still exist. There's out there, right? So I wish that was a more powerful thing to use. But I'm glad that Islamophobia these days doesn't have the doesn't have the singing power that it used to have, right? You can't end careers or like you used to with it before, right? The two remaining one are accusations of transphobia and anti-Semitic views. These two accusations they still have a lot of power behind them, right? It's really bad. It's really unfortunate for the trans rights movement, because there's a lot of transphobes out there, and now that you're overusing it makes it harder to
for any of these groups. I mean, there's real anti-Muslim hate out there. I mean, what China's doing is anti-Muslim. What Myanmar is doing is around the world. There's a lot of genuine anti-Muslim sentiment in the West, like in a lot of New Zealand, Christchurch, right? I mean, those kinds of things that's anti-Muslim stuff, but it just gets swept under the rug now because there's so many spurious accusations of Islamophobia that nobody takes it seriously. And the same thing could be happening with terms like anti-Semitism, and that's why it's such a problem nowadays. There is a sort of addiction to victimhood. There is an addiction. There's a perpetual sense of victimhood, which I regard as a privilege. That is the highest form of privilege nowadays, if you can portray yourself as a victim. And everybody wants to portray themselves as victims. Now, there are real victims. I'm not talking about real victims. I'm talking about the self-pity and the entitlement. And self-pity and a sense of perpetual victimhood is the most malignant form of narcissism.
And actually, let's be self-critical as well, Ali. Now that you're mentioning that, because that also happens within the ex-Muslim movement. A lot of ex-Muslims who are not in danger, who keep acting like they're also the victims, right?
Yeah.
This is why I always
we've talked about that. We've talked about how serious really is. Let's put it in perspective.
This is why a lot of times when we talk about protecting ex-Muslims from harm, I need to clarify. People are like, oh, Armin, you're so brave, blah, blah, blah. I always need to clarify. I'm not in any danger, right? Like I haven't, in fact, compared to most ex-Muslims, I have had it. My parents were accepting. I got out of Iran before I could before my views had any negative, I lived in Canada and I could say whatever I want. Like people think like, oh, when I bring attention to ex-Muslim rights, I'm saying like, oh, I'm the victim. And like, I have to clarify that I'm not. And we need to call out even people within our own movement that keep trying to exaggerate how big of a victim they are. I do want to, go ahead.
Sorry, one thing I want to say, what's really interesting actually in recent years is that Armin, I think you've gotten probably more threats from the Hindutva than you have from Islamic jihadists.
Yeah, but threats but again, even when it comes to threats that we get, like a lot of people like to show their threats as a way to be like, I'm in danger. I could tell you these threats, none of these people will ever get to me, okay?
Yeah,
like I will show the threats, the death threats and the other threats that I'm not going to mention, just to show how ridiculous these people are, not because I'm trying to tell people like, oh my God, poor me, I'm in danger. I'm not in danger. In fact, these are funny, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, no, listen, the point then, what my point was, just really quickly, it's not about people genuine threat. Like, for example, if you go to Iran right now, you would be under threat of persecution. Yes. You would be,
of course,
high profile, people would know you're coming in. They may have your name. This person comes in, then report it to us. That anything can happen. And that can happen even now to any of us. We go to Pakistan or Iran or Saudi Arabia. So that is genuine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who have this sort of entitled sense of victimhood, entitled sense of sort of self-pity. What self-pity does is it gives you an excuse to focus all your attention on you, and it gives you an excuse to expect everybody else to focus their attention on you, because what you're going through is so much worse than what they're going through. Right?
I do want, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's a malignant form of narcissism. I just want to say and that's why it correlates so well with the social media age. Self-pity, victimhood, narcissism, it all goes together.
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.